The story of the Whispering Mirror. In a small, forgotten town, nestled deep in the woods, there stood an old, crumbling mansion. Abandoned for decades, its windows were shattered, and its walls were covered in creeping vines. The townsfolk avoided it, claiming it was cursed, haunted by the spirits of those who once lived there. But Olivia, a curious and headstrong young woman, was drawn to the mansion. She had heard the stories, of course, but she didn't believe in ghosts. She was fascinated by the mansion's history and wanted to explore its decaying halls. One chilly autumn afternoon, she decided to venture inside. The door creaked open with a push, revealing a grand foyer covered in dust and cobwebs. Her footsteps echoed through the empty house as she moved from room to room, marveling at the remnants of what must have been a grand estate. As she climbed the creaking staircase, she noticed a strange, cold draft coming from a room at the end of the hall. The door was ajar, and Olivia hesitated before pushing it open. Inside, she found a large, ornate mirror standing against the wall, its glass impossibly clean despite the dust that covered everything else. The mirror's frame was intricately carved with strange symbols and faces twisted in silent screams. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine as she approached it. She could see her reflection clearly, but there was something off about it. Something she couldn't quite place. Suddenly, the air grew colder, and the room darkened as if the light was being sucked away. Olivia's reflection began to change. Her face twisted into a grotesque, monstrous version of itself. Eyes black and soulless, mouth stretched into a sinister grin. Frozen in terror, Olivia tried to step back, but her feet wouldn't move. The reflection in the mirror began to speak, its voice a raspy whisper that echoed in her mind. "Stay with me," it hissed. "Stay, and you'll never be alone again." Olivia tried to scream, but no sound came out. The mirror's surface rippled like water, and before she could react, a cold, invisible force pulled her towards it. Her reflection reached out, its hands grabbing hold of her, dragging her into the glass. She fought with all her strength, but it was no use. The mirror swallowed her whole, and the room went silent once more. The mansion stood as it always had, silent and abandoned. But now, if you were to venture inside, you might notice the mirror in the upstairs room. If you looked closely, you might see a figure trapped inside, banging on the glass, her face twisted in horror. And if you listen carefully, you might hear her faint whispers, pleading for someone to set her free. But no one ever does. The mirror keeps her, just as it has kept so many before her, their souls trapped for eternity, doomed to whisper in the dark.